When it comes to schools basically should offer activities that reflect a wide range of individual differences in biological and physiological development among young adolescents. Schools want to be made into smaller communities to really involve the parents and community leaders. They want teachers to teach disciplines and curriculum, and they want to boost the student health and fitness with more in-school programs. And then research has shown that participation in extracurricular activities are linked to higher grades, greater school engagement, less likelihood of dropping out, improved probability of going to college, higher self-esteem, and lower rates of depression, delinquency, and substance use. I think it's great that people really get involved with extracurricular activities, especially if research has really proved all those amazing benefits. And it could be really doing anything. There's times where people just want to go on a walk or work out and play a sport. Like anything will be good for the health of the student, but also, once again, those benefits that are involved with extracurricular activities.
During this time, adolescents are trying to figure out who they are and what they want to be. They're trying to build their identity. Identity is a self-portrait composed of what career they want to pursue, their political views, spiritual beliefs, their relationship status, motivation to achieve, what gender they identify with, where they're from, what culture they identify with, their personality, and body image. So Erickson has an interesting view. He calls it identity versus identity confusion. It basically points out that adolescents fit into this age gap between childhood security and adult autonomy. So they're still living in the home, they have less responsibilities than an adult, and so this is kind of the prime time to figure out what they like and what they don't like and just kind of discover who they are. So youth who are successful in coping with conflicting identities emerge with a new sense of self that is both refreshing and acceptable. But adolescents who get stuck in identity confusion will do one of two things. They'll withdraw into isolation, or they'll immerse themselves in the world of peers and lose their identity in the crowd. Erickson's theory of identity development contained four statuses of identity or ways of resolving the identity crisis. The identity crisis is a period of time in which someone is very confused or uncertain about their identity, and it will often result in insecurity because they don't know what role they play in society. So Erickson's four statuses of identity are 1. Identity diffusion. No crisis, but they are undecided occupational and ideological choices. The second is identity foreclosure. They've made a commitment to their identity, but they've experienced no crisis. 3. Identity moratorium. In the midst of a crisis, but the commitment are either absent or vaguely defined. 4. Identity achievement, where they've undergone the crisis and they've made a commitment to who they are. There are some critiques to Erickson's view. Many believe that the identity approach doesn't produce enough depth and understanding in identity development, and they prefer the narrative approach, which is where individuals will share their life stories and then they'll evaluate to the extent of which their stories are meaningful. While trying to establish their identity, adolescents are also trying to figure out what they believe and why. As part of their search for identity, adolescents think in a more sophisticated and logical way by asking themselves deep questions like, why am I on this planet? And is there really a God or higher being? Religiousness tends to decline between the ages of 14 and 20 in the US, but it still plays a really big role in adolescents' health and has an influence on whether they engage in problem behaviors. A recent meta-analysis found that spirituality was positively related to well-being, self-esteem, agreeableness, and openness. Lower levels of spirituality were associated with higher levels of risk-taking and depression. More frequent religious attendance in one grade predicted lower levels of substance abuse in the next grade.
Family relationships, parental monitoring, and information management. Monitoring includes supervising adolescents' choice of social settings, activities, and friends, as well as their academic efforts. Low parental monitoring was a key factor in predicting a developmental trajectory of delinquency and substance abuse in adolescents. Higher level of parental monitoring and rule enforcement were linked to later initiation of sexual intercourse and increased use of condoms by adolescents. Autonomy and attachment. Autonomy, adolescents' ability to attain autonomy and gain control over their behavior is acquired through appropriate adult reactions to their desire for control. role of attachment, researchers have found insecurely attached adolescents are more likely than securely attached adolescents to have emotional difficulties and to engage in problem behaviors such as juvenile delinquency and drug abuse. Balancing freedom and control, parents play a very important role in development. Although adolescents are moving toward independence, they still need to stay connected with their family. Parent-adolescent conflict. Conflict with parents often escalates during early adolescence, remains somewhat stable during the high school years, and then lessens as the adolescent reaches 17 to 20 years of age. Parent-adolescent relationships become more positive if adolescents go away to college than if they attend college while living at home. Cross-cultural studies reveal that parent-adolescent conflict is lower in some countries than in the United States. Japan and India are two countries where this statistic is lower than the United States. Peer relationships. Friendships. Beginning in early adolescence, teenagers typically prefer to have a smaller number of friendships that are more intense and intimate than those of young children. Peer groups. Peer pressure. Mitchell Prinstein and his colleagues conducted a research that found adolescents who feel uncertain about their identity. This uncertainty often increases during times of transition. Adolescents are more likely to conform to peers whom they perceive to have a higher status than they do. Cliques and crowds. Cliques form because adolescents engage in similar activities such as a sport or a club. Crowds are larger than cliques and less personal. Usually members are based on reputation. For example, like jocks or nerds. Dating and romantic relationships. Developmental changes. So 11 to 13 years old, and it is the entry into romantic attractions and affiliations. 14 to 16 years old is exploring romantic relationships. 17 to 19 years old is consolidating didactic romantic bonds. Dating in gay and lesbian youth. Some gay and lesbian youth continue to have same-sex orientation, while others have a primarily heterosexual orientation. Sociocultural context and dating. Values, religious beliefs, and traditions often dictate the age at which dating begins, how much freedom in dating is allowed, whether dates must be chaperoned by adults or parents, and the roles of males and females in dating. Dating and adjustment. Dating and romantic relationships at an early age can be especially problematic. A recent study found that romantic activity was linked to depression in early adolescence.
Hi, buddy.
Hi.
So, is it okay if I record you?
Oh yeah.
Okay, sweet. I'm just going to ask you a couple questions. So the first is, what physical changes did you notice in yourself first during puberty?
Probably my period, because it's pretty obvious. I don't know. Yeah.
What age did you start puberty and notice these physical changes?
When I was 12.
How do you view your body? Are you comfortable in your own skin? Are there things that you would change?
Yeah, I'm comfortable in my body, but I mean, I guess if there was something I would change the fact that I don't have eyebrows, but it's fine.
What are your thoughts about the future and growing into an adult?
I'm excited for the future, I guess, and like what God has in store for me, but I'm kind of just living life right now, so I like being a teen right now. It's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Are you looking forward to being an adult?
Yeah. I'm excited.
What is the most important part of school and why?
I don't know, getting good grades, and because that like reflects like who I am as a student, but then making like new relationships and friendships and stuff, and meeting new people.
What are some of your defining characteristics?
I don't know. What was the question?
What are some of your defining characteristics?
I don't know. I like. Oh, that's a hard question. Frick. I don't know. I love everyone. I don't know. I haven't really figured that out yet. I mean, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I guess the fact that I'm like really friendly and kind to everyone. I just love everyone.
Nice. So you're still like just trying to figure out who you are and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Cool. What are your core values?
Ooh. I value love, honesty, respect. I don't know. I value. I don't know. That's pretty much it. Just like the basic things, I guess.
Um, has what you value changed since you were younger?
No, not really.
Are you religious?
Yes. Yeah, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I have a good relationship with Jesus. Yeah.
Nice. How have you developed that relationship? Is it just because you grew up in a Christian home, or did you have a certain experience that like led you to believe that God is real?
I mean, I've grown up in the church my whole life. Like, my whole family has gone to church forever. Every Sunday, like, all the time. But that's not, like, I don't know, like, my parents helped me, like, get into it and, like, help me, like, become a Christian and, like, start my relationship with Jesus, I guess.
But now you've kind of like taken it on as your own.
Yeah.
Can you think back? Have there ever been a moment where you just like had really difficulty focusing, or like, I guess just describe your attention span?
Oh, very short. I get distracted so easily, like, it's not even funny. It's bad, but...
Do you often say what you think or think before you speak?
Oh, sometimes I have no filters. Sometimes I can't hide it, and so sometimes things just come out like word vomit. But sometimes I can have a filter and like know my audience and my place, so I'm good with that.
Are you disciplined in doing things like making sure to get your homework done before you hang out with friends, or watching how much you eat?
Yeah, yes and no. So I procrastinate a lot, I guess, but so sometimes I like push things to the end. I'm like, oh, I'll just do it later. But I always end up getting it done, so it's fine. But yeah, sometimes yes and sometimes no.
Are you closer to your family or your friends?
Oh, it depends, because I don't know. I'm really close with my siblings, but there's stuff that I tell my friends that I wouldn't tell my family, so it depends on what you. I don't know. Kind of depends.
Seems like you're pretty close with both of them.
Yeah, I'm close with both.
Are you a pretty independent person?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Who are you closest to in your family?
My siblings for sure, but yeah, I don't know. My siblings.
How would you describe your friendships?
I don't know. I have like a lot of like general friends that I just know and like I can talk to, but then I have like only like a couple like really close friends that I could tell like everything to.
Do you feel like you're part of a clique, or do you just kind of float between friend groups?
Yeah, I kind of float with everyone. I don't know, like I sometimes hop between different friend groups, I guess. So I'm like friends with everyone, but I kind of have like one group that's like my own, but I still float around at the same time. It's kind of confusing. But so yes and no. I kind of float around though, and I'm just friends with everyone.
Very cool. So what are your just overall feelings about the stage that you're at in life? Are you stressed about it? Or are you just like happy with where you're at? Do you feel like you have a lot to catch up on?
I'm kind of just like a go with the flow person, so I'm just kind of living life like I'm not like stressed about everything. Like everything happens for a reason, and I don't know. I just kind of see where life takes me, I guess.
All right, so you're very content with where you're at?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.